Good afternoon, everyone. I decided, because of the lockdown, and I do talk about this topic occasionally on social media, but I decided because of the lockdown, it's probably a very good time to bring it up again. It is a huge concern, and we've actually dealt with a lot of people who have been victims of romance scams. I mean, it's something that we see in comedy skits. It's things that are talked about in the news, but it's happening all the time. I mean, we see it on Facebook. So many different friends requests from people who are actually trying to scam us. But the most successful scams that I've seen are using Dubai actually as a story to wrap around what they're trying to achieve. So what we've seen is perhaps warehouses or factories full of professional fraudsters who are luring men and women into believing that they're in a relationship. And this kind of investment, often we think of it coming from Nigeria, we can't be sure, but certainly that is one of the more prevalent scam centres. But essentially they are giving the impression that they're in a romantic relationship, and this can go on for 6 months, sometimes even 12 months. So it's created definitely the facade of a relationship, and it would be very easy for a person to believe that they're in one. The significant amount of time is invested into each potential victim to the point where they believe often that they're actually getting married. And I mean, some of the facades we've seen are obviously military men is a very popular one. So someone's been posted in a Middle Eastern country or African nation, and they're coming home, but they're going to stop in Dubai on the way in transit. And it's at this point that their fiance usually gets a telephone call saying that they've been arrested. And they don't know what for. You know, perhaps they were carrying something that they shouldn't have been. We've heard everything from ivory to cash to, gifts that have been given to them by, all sorts really. But and it's quite elaborate, and each one's different. But essentially, at that point, they contact their victim and they say, I'm in prison, I don't know why I've been detained, but I need money for bail. I've been told that if I give over 50,000, I'll be free. And so they ask you to put up that money because obviously they're in prison, they can't access their money. In other scams we've seen lawyers or fake lawyers contact the victim and say, I'm representing your fiance, he's been detained, his money has been confiscated, he had cash that he was bringing in through the country, it was in excess of 10,000, therefore they've confiscated it, and they'll release him, and they'll release the cash with him so long as he pays a certain amount of money. Now, these are so believable that the person just responds emotionally. Obviously, it's their fiance is in prison. They end up sending 50,000, 100,000. In some cases, I've seen both women and men again lose maybe 300,000 in total. Just on a personal level, I've received emails totaling at least 1.5 million worth of losses from people, which is significant. And it's just something that we really need to be aware of. I don't think it's spoken about enough. I don't think that social media is doing enough to prevent this. Even in my own Facebook messages, I'm seeing quite a lot of people who are popping up with the typical profile of usually it's usually a widowed military man, actually. So that's most of what I'm getting in my Facebook box. And I imagine other people are getting the same thing. What is Facebook doing? What are social media platforms doing to protect people from these fake accounts, which are just, there's so many of them. And, once people start talking to that person, and often they're vulnerable people as well. So some of them have had mental health issues or other issues that have led them to perhaps have their guard down less than needed. But I think that this is something that needs to be spoken about right down at the school level, at education. I mean, the world is changing now with online platforms and with the internet and with online dating and meeting people through electronic means. And I think that, you know, these sorts of scams really need to be spoken about with great frequency. We need warnings, fraud alerts, mainstream media talking about it, and certainly digital platforms like Facebook and other social media tools really emphasising the great risks. As far as banks are concerned, I mean, they could be issuing warnings as well. You know, when we see that money is going to Dubai and it's completely out of the ordinary, there could be a little warning about romance scams, because it's not just normal scams about lottery and financial. It's scams that have been in development for 6 to 12 months, building up significant impressions of relationships, and it's really important that this is spoken about as well. I think that a lot of victims are surprised, embarrassed and ashamed to come and speak about, you know, that they've lost hundreds of thousands to, you know, a complete scammer. But it's definitely something that we need to talk about more and protect as many people as we can from these scams. But Dubai in particular, I feel like I'm very responsible for this. I feel like we've built up such an impression worldwide that it's very easy to get detained in Dubai, that, you know, tourists are arrested, that people are wrongfully arrested and detained by Dubai authorities. And that has given, in a sense, these Nigerian scamsters, romance scamsters, a really, really good story when they go to their fiancé. I've been detained in Dubai unfairly, as you can see. I think on occasion they're even using our website, referring to our website to show just how common it is for people to be arrested in Dubai, and that adds the credibility. So we do, fortunately, get a lot of people coming to us saying, you know, my fiance's been detained in Dubai. It seems a little bit strange. What do you think about it? And we've been able to prevent a lot of money going to these places, actually. We've also reported it to the police in Dubai. I don't know whether they've done anything to follow up or to try to raise awareness on that issue. I very much doubt it. But so long as we keep talking about it, we'll protect more people. So anyway, that's all for now on romance scams. Be careful. Ciao.